So I'm Anthony. I run the ATX Drinker on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. I pretty much go around Austin, Texas, and I look for the best bars and cocktails that are in the city. Yeah, so I was always into like searching for new bars, whether it's a dive bar, a speakeasy, whether I'm traveling to a new city or just in my town right now, Austin, Texas. And I was just always fascinated to see the aesthetic of different bars, the different cocktails they would create, because there's always stories behind it or uniqueness behind it. I just always found joy in that. So even when I had a full-time job before, which I was working at Wells Fargo, funny enough, every weekend I would just be on Google looking up, okay, what's the new bar that opened, or what's the best speakeasies to go to, and that would be my hobby on the weekend. So it was just for fun. After high school, at 18, I jumped into being a waiter. I worked for like 3 different places, but that's how I made my money at that time. So I know the other side of the people that work in the hospitality industry. So I know the grind of working double shifts. I know what it's like to deal with customers and all stuff like that. So nowadays, I just see it with that different perspective. I never judge somebody off of one visit. I make sure I always tip, usually above the expected amount. So I'm just grateful that I had that experience in my life, and then now I get to be on the other side and just enjoy all the creative things that they're able to make when it comes to cocktails and things like that. Yeah, I mean, for me, I've always been into like the artsiness of it. So like I love music, so you get to add music to your reels. I also, like I said back in the beginning, like I'm amazed by aesthetic. So whether the cocktail is created in a beautiful way or the bar looks unique, like anything we've ever seen before, I have an eye for that, I believe. So with my stuff, I'm always walking in a place saying, if I want to show other people what this looks like, what are the things that I'm going to be able to show off? So when it comes to content, I'm always like reevaluating that eye, you know? So in the beginning, it's funny, I was just doing pictures. And then as you know, like social media has led into doing videos. So in the beginning, it was pretty rough. It was, you know, not quick cuts and things like that. And then over time, I would watch other people that inspired me and just kept getting better and better and better. No, like I know the basics, right? I know when you go somewhere, like you have to start this way and win the people over by showing something cool in the bar. Like they're swiping on social media, right? So you have to show them something that goes, wait, what is this? You know, so that's step one. But I go to so many places sometimes that it all gets jumbled together. So you got to keep that fresh eye sometimes. Walk in and pretend, especially if I go somewhere that I've been before, walk in, pretend it's your first time there. You know, I might come here and today I'm like, yeah, I've been here before, no big deal. But it's when it's that first time you go, wow, like look at all these plants above you, you know, look at how they have this great design out on the back patio. So I try to remind myself, always have a fresh eye when you go out. So to me, I just love friendly people. You know, I've been places where like, even the drinks aren't great, but they were so friendly that I go back all the time. So I think to me, and I understand that there's certain bars where speed is a factor, right? They just do such big numbers that they have to get through it. But I love a bartender that will take the time to actually talk with me. And I know they worked a long time on that menu, but I might be with a group of friends and maybe somebody in that group doesn't want something on that menu, and they're willing to maybe listen to say, what's your palate like, or what do you usually drink? And they're willing to maybe make something different. So there's little things, and then also just chatting along the way. When you build that relationship, I think, you know, most customers are willing to come back to that bar. So that's why I think I'm actually good for, you know, doing social media and being the drink person in Austin, Texas, is because I like everything. Like I make a joke that I'm classy and trashy, because I will go to like a fine dining, high-end cocktail bar, but then after I have like this urge, I need to go to a dive bar to like just mix it up. I can't just do one thing. So I love a little bit of everything. Most times I go out, it's always different places. It's never been one night where I'm just sticking to that same thing. But once again, you know, I love cocktails. So I will usually go to a speakeasy. I will go to a cocktail bar. And then I like to just decompress by taking Jameson shots at the local dive bar. I hit all of them.
Perfect night.
Yep. Same with cocktails. Like I will do a whiskey ginger, and then I will do a $22 fat wash old fashioned somewhere, you know? Yeah, I mean, I will say, so over time, my palate has grown. When I first started, I was just drinking the tiki drinks that were sweet and everybody could enjoy. But now I like more spirit forward cocktails. And it's like, how can you tie in the complexity and the specialness of a spirit, but while still crafting in a way where you're getting like unique notes out of it. I'm a big whiskey enthusiast. My favorite cocktail is an old fashioned. I even have it tattooed on my arm here. And so that's like the ultimate spirit-forward cocktail, right? And there's so many whiskeys to me, now that my palate has evolved, that taste different from each other. So how can you like intertwine that, but then still do something fun and different than your typical old-fashioned? So that's a big thing for me, is just like playing with the alcohol you're using and not hiding it from the cocktail that you're finished with, if that makes sense. There's usually rules to the competition, right? I did multiple where they go, it's really important that it's by Still Austin, so we want to make sure you use that whiskey and tell us why. And every single time we do a competition, like half the people forget to tell them why they used it, right? So tie in the rules. So if they say this competition is special because we're using this gin, or we want it to be all about Hawaii tiki drinks, you have to be able to step up and then tell us that story for why you did it. Don't forget that, because I know it gets like nervous time, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna focus on just making a great cocktail, but this story always wins people. I feel like that's 50% of it, winning people over, you know what I mean? And then, you know, on top of that, I think it's a cocktail competition, so a lot of times, like, the crazier the better. Don't be afraid to go out there. I know a lot of people are like, I want to stick to the basics sometimes and just show how skilled I am. There's a time and place for that, but don't be afraid to do something that we've never seen before, you know? So I fell in love with gin because of cocktails. I used to think I didn't like gin. And it's probably because my palate has changed a lot over time, but what I've learned is a lot of people have a preconceived notion with alcohol in general, right? When we're younger, we graduate either high school or college, and then you just tried the cheapest one at a dive bar and you think it's bad. But then you find out that there's all these other high quality alcohols that are out there that can be so delicious. When you first try gin, it might have these flowery notes or dry notes, but there's ones out there that can taste like cucumber or can taste like watermelon. There's so many different unique ones out there. So I realized that you have to be willing to try the more high quality alcohols to really know if you like an alcohol or not. So I learned that, and now I've become a fan of gin. There's so many different gins that I love, and especially in cocktails. I mean, the things you can do with gin and cocktails is just insane. And going back to what I said, I go out and I try everything, just like bars. I'll go to a dive bar or a high-end bar. Same with alcohol. I will drink any drink you put in front of me. Yeah, right now I'm still growing because I'm still so new. I mean, it's been like 2.5 years since I've been doing this full time, and you know, my goal is to continually just show off the great businesses that deserve that attention. What I love about Austin is there is new bars opening all the time. So whether it's a new bar that just popped up, I want to be able to help them get the word out, or I want to be able to show the bars that don't get attention. There's bars that struggle to stay open, but social media people never go there. So I will look those places up and be like, I'll be the one to go there, you know? So I just went to a place like the Carousel Lounge, which is a old school carnival dive bar, and I was able to show them off, and like nobody's been there in over a year. So stuff like that. And then long term, I don't know, who knows, maybe one day it's a Netflix show of me going to all the bars in the country, you know? Maybe there could be something long term with that. So I've been exploring YouTube a little bit more, kind of doing more like mini vlogs of me hopping around the city, and maybe that could turn into something bigger. So for me, the top 3 bars in Austin, Texas would have to be in categories, right? I got a speakeasy, I'm going to Here Nor There in downtown Austin, Texas, that is ran by a bunch of people from Ireland, and they make the craziest cocktails. They just did a Texas themed one where they had like brisket next to one or a hot dog next to one. It was crazy. And then Nickel City, which is actually my favorite bar. It's not perfect, but it gives me a little bit of everything. You can get really good cocktails. You can also get cheap drink specials like a beer and a shot. You can get great bar food. Everybody is hanging and talking. There's a good vibe there. So if I had to pick one, that would be my number one. And then I have to choose a local hang, and just, you know, it's in my area where I live, and I just love going over to the Liberty. That gives me more dive bar vibes. Really good specials. You can still get specials that are like $3 for a drink that I love. And I've been catching myself stopping there a lot on the weekends.